Chris.
Oh, James.
James.
Honestly.
That's
I guess in these parts.
first impression.
Okay, Chris.
Sorry, Vicky.
Thank you, Victor.
As a team that's won this competition more than any other team, some managers look at it as an opportunity to win a first piece of silverware, others look at it as a chance to carry on momentum, and other coaches see it as a chance to give game time to maybe squad players. Where do you sit right now on the League Cup?
We want to attack this competition, as I said before. One game away from being in the last 8. In our game, it's really important to have quality in our game, that we have identity in our game. So freshness is really important. So we search for these 3, and the lineup tomorrow will be one who feels the responsibility of this competition and really wants to attack the game tomorrow, as in Tottenham, as Arsenal this Wednesday. We have to be in our best in all departments, and I think this lineup will represent that.
There's been a lot said about the role of captaincy because of what happened at the Emirates Stadium on Sunday. You had a captain that scored an equaliser and kind of galvanised the whole stadium. How important is that role of the captain, but also the role of the crowd in supporting a captain rather than attacking a captain?
I think, at Liverpool we say it's always about 3 things, no? In life, in general, in the football club, good relationships is the base to evolve a club or to evolve a team. But as we say in Liverpool, it's about 3 things. It's the Holy Trinity, we call it. So it's the fans, the manager, and the squad. And these 3 have to be really connected. They have to be one. They have to have one idea. They have to understand each other. And Arsenal Football Club knows much better than me how to deal with this. But what I only can say is that if you have Jordan and James Milner as your captains, you don't have to discipline others. They discipline by discipline. If you're disciplined yourself, you don't have to discipline others. So that's a good saying. And yeah.
And in terms of your squad and injuries, there's a fear that Joel Matip might be out longer rather than shorter. What's the situation with Joel?
His knee is still irritated, so it will need time to settle. We don't put a time limit on it, but it will need a little bit. So he will not be involved. He needs rest.
And Shaqiri?
Shaq is only back after the international break with his calves and the problems he had before. Re-injury is very dangerous, so we want to give him the time to really come back in good, fit shape and hunger. Yeah.
And just as well with Virgil and Mo after the match, Virgil been kind of dead leg, and Mo's got an ongoing problem with the ankle.
Yeah, Mo was pure precaution because his ankle got a little bit tired towards the end of the game, and then it hurts more. But he's fine, and Virgil is fine as well.
And Kevin Kelleher, he's going to get his first start at Anfield.
Yeah,
it's only his second start ever as well. So tell me, why him rather than Adrian as well, and what gives him the confidence that he's capable of doing?
So for me, consistency is the most important if you want to give players opportunities and talent a pathway to develop. We have Ali as our number 1. More than a number 1, I think, and Adrian did an unbelievable job for us. I said already before, there's always space for passionate ones at Liverpool FC, and he's very passionate in his training, but he has to do the job when Ali is not there. And Queeve started this competition, and he's the one who will start tomorrow.
And what is it about him that, because he's very confident, he's only 20, isn't he, for goalkeepers? That's a baby.
Yeah, Queeve is a player, is a goalkeeper who is he's on the line. He's excellent, of course, like everybody already saw. But his calmness to play out, his calmness to find a free player if we play, he just gives for his age as a goalkeeper, he's very stable. So that's what we like about him. And we see a good future for him, and we want to give him this opportunity. And you need these opportunities to grow, and that's why we give him it.
And just finally, for me, I know it's always one match at a time here at Anfield, but with so many matches coming up now for you, and you've got the World Club Cup coming up as well, the League Cup and the Champions League. Where's the fine line between rotating the squad and keeping that momentum? How will it work for you?
First of all, it's not game by game, it's session by session. That's really important because how we say, if we can have good lead up to a game, regain freshness, recover well, prepare the team well, whoever the team may be. We say that 90% of the points are made in the lead up to a game. So it's really important to put that in place. And of course, what I said before, it would not be smart. We don't have a big squad. It would not be smart, it would not be intelligent, it would not be to make this squad even smaller by not using its strengths. And one of its strengths of this squad is the power of the youth with a lot of quality experience. And that can create unbelievable processes. And what you saw as well before already. So, yeah.
Just really, with that in mind, how important is this sort of game for the likes of Alex, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Naby Keita, Joe Gomez, who have not had that much game time so far?
Yeah, in the start of the season, we had, of course, not as many games. We could create a real stability around the team and keep many times the same, not the same 11, but the same core group. You saw already what I did with Ox by playing game after game, how we contribute in Genk. So that's why it's really important. I think, how I said before, from the bench, we want players who come in and really make an impact. So far we had that, we want to keep that, and I think as well that by making a bigger impact in games, then they need rhythm, they need consistency, and it's a perfect moment again to change a few things. Yeah.
In terms of the younger players, which you've also spoken about, they performed well against MK Dons in the last round, but how well are they equipped to deal with Arsenal, which is another step up in this round?
Yeah, again, of course they have a point to prove, and the situation where they're in, but we focus only on ourselves. We want to be the best we can be, and that's one of our strengths, that we want to put our game into place. We want to play on the opposition half. We want to dictate play. We want to win the ball back. It's our ball. By focusing on ourselves, that forces like development. So for all these boys, that's important. And let the opposition worry about us, and let us focus on ourselves. Yeah.
It's a big step for them from under 23 and 21 to this sort of thing. How well are they able to cope with that? Do you think?
I think that's why it's so important that they are training with us each day, the young boys, that they are constant in and around the first team. How I said before, talent needs models. It doesn't need criticism or coaching mostly. It needs guidance. And if you see the likes like how Millie or Hendo or Ox, even our senior players treat our young players, it creates a natural development for them. They can see with their own eyes the small details, the unwritten rules of Melwood, how to prepare for a game. And I think there's not a much more powerful weapon than the examples of senior pros. I think we all think that these boys can make our game better, otherwise they wouldn't play. They have all some specific attributes what will make our game a little bit different in detail. We really look forward to that, to see that again, and we have some special talent. It would be really not intelligent if we would not use them.
About Vito Matos, who recently joined the club. You know a lot about him. I've seen him in Porto. What impact will he have and working with those special talents?
For me, it's our best signing this season. He's a talented coach, and I will explain why. But he's a very intelligent coach, a talented coach, intelligent coach. He can make the next step with all these young players. We already see the impact he made on them. Having one really intelligent, talented coach for young players, he can inspire 8 or 9 of them. So it's really important to have the right people in front of them, and he connects. He not only, of course, he influences the boys on the pitch and trains with them, but he connects departments. So he connects our academy, Alex and Rich, with them. He connects me and Jurgen, of course. He connects Julian Ward as the loan and Michael Edwards as the technical. So he's basically the connector of these 3 parts of the club. But he's good. We're really happy that he's here. Yeah.
In the last round, Curtis Jones was obviously the man of the match, and I think James Milner spoke afterwards and said he's seen a massive improvement in him in the last 6 months. What have you seen in terms of specifics? What has he got better at, and how happy are you with his progress?
Yeah, Curtis is a boy from the city, and all these boys from the city in the academy, they have so much passion, and they have so much ambition as well. That's one. Playing for us, it's for example, take Tottenham game. Everybody speaks, we had the most shots on target, the best in 2 years. We were constantly under position half, playing, creating, crossing, tag. But the difference was made in the 30% we didn't have the ball. That's why we were able to play there. So how we were protected constantly, how our concentration and intensity was when we lost the ball. Our front 3 defended 6 players of Tottenham constantly, non-stop for 95 minutes. And these young boys, they have to make that step to be, because other games it was, say, 55% or 48 or whatever. But the difference in this game, but all the attention goes to the offensive part. But the difference is made, the only way we can be this offensive is the defensive attitude, the tactical discipline of our 3 midfielders, how they always close the center and put pressure, help the front 3 to defend, was unbelievable. Our last line, high line controlling Son and Kane constantly. That's not easy. Have a high line and controlling their movements. And at the same time, the focus of the last line to and be protected constantly and help the ball circulate from left to right. And so what I'm trying to say is that these boys all have talent. They are all creative. They are so good on the ball, they probably sleep still with the ball. But to make the next step, it's about how good are you in those 30%? Can you, with 3 players, defend 6 players of the opposition? And that attitude, that's Liverpool FC, because our identity is intensity.
Just obviously that connection, used to be that connection between the academy.
Yeah.
When you're looking at a player, a teenage player, what is it about the temperament that you're looking at? I mean, obviously you had it with Trent, but now it's Harvey Elliott. To be so young and know he's got the mind for it as much as the talent for it.
What we are searching for.
Well, just how do you identify it and know that it's a bit of a risk, really, isn't it, with someone so young? But it's a risk which is. Well, Harvey would be a good example.
Yeah, we have to be 100% convinced. That's one. Otherwise, we should not do it because that will not help. That will not help the talent. That's the most important. So, but you see a player who learns really quick Melwood, who learns the values, who's very polite, who is a team player. But you see something special in him because the game is so complex. You can have talent in so many different things. And then, of course, it's about, okay, if we want to play in this way, what makes him different than the others? And that's what we have to see in him, an identity. And that's for each player different. What we always want to see is these values, and what we always want to see is a hunger towards the ball. That if we lose it, get it back, because it's ours. And yeah, so that's basically it, I think. So there's certain values which should always represent. Very important how the boy is in terms of character, passion, ambition. Second, it's he needs to understand our game, because that's different than others. That's why we think the academy is so important, to develop this way of play, so it doesn't come from here, but it comes from the stomach. And the third thing is the identity of the player itself. We have to see that identity constantly. And what I said, that can be really different. Harvey is a player who has a super play between the lines and can create. So you don't have that many players who can. But example, you see that, but we have to see the identity constantly. Yeah.
Will he be in the squad tomorrow? Because I know he's just served the 2-week suspension, been dealt with and whatever. Is it too quick for him to come back, or would you have no issues about including?
No, he's ready.
He's ready.
Yeah.
And how's he sort of cope with such an incident?
Yeah. Again, what we said, our club made a statement, so let's take that. We can't forget he's still only 16, of course, so we have to be careful with that. But how I see him, since I work with him, I see a very educated boy, and I see a boy who's really passionate for the game. Yeah. But again, if you have players around, if you come in here and you have Millie, Henderson, Lallana, Gini, Verge, Bobby, all examples in different ways, players who never whine, never complain, never make excuses. In the hardest moments, they never give up, and they never give up our way, and always put the team above themselves. Then for a young player, you can't have a better environment to develop and to grow. And for me, that makes us or any other team, from a good team to a top team, or a good team to a successful team. Yeah.
It is a chance, you've already said, for some of the players who've been on the fringe. What the likes of, say, Oxlade-Chamberlain and Naby Keita, who are big money buys, what do they have to do, and how do you keep them sort of happy and motivated to make that step into the sort of first 11 when they've not been?
Ox, of course, is a very sad story, of course, with the injury. I mean, but was very important for us just before, how everybody knew, and we want to give him time, and we know it will come if he keeps his aggression defensively and offensively, how he can play that real offensive aggression, then everything will come. But that needs time. An injury like that, it's not. But we saw already glimpses, and we saw already really good phases. And for him, he said it himself as well. He wants to do it now for 95 minutes, and for 2 times 95 minutes, that will be the next step. But he's very important for us because he gives a completely different dynamic to create. So Naby was unlucky with his injury this season. A first year in the club of Liverpool with a new style with the Premier League. We all know that takes time, but we can all see what a magnificent player he is and what he can do to our team, and especially in how to bring the ball into the final third and how to disorganize opposition. So important both, but for every single player is stay fit and gain regularity and gain consistency. Yeah.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, guys.